All right, we are checking in from day 6 of San Francisco 49ers training camp, second day of pads. Much lighter practice compared to yesterday, but we had some notable things, some good, some bad, a little bit of in between. But I think the most concerning thing about practice was the fact that there was no Mykel Williams. According to Nick Wagner, Mykel Williams is dealing with a minor ankle injury, and the reason why that causes a little bit of concern is for the simple fact that that's what Mykel had dealt with all of last season in college, was a nagging ankle injury. So not great to hear that he's already being held out of practice for that reason, because obviously so far Mykel has been a pretty dominant player early on in 49ers training camp. It does sound minor, so we'll see how it plays out moving forward. But we also had no Juwan Jennings today and no Ricky Pearsall. According to Wagner as well, Pearsall was more precautionary than anything else. So we'll see how things go. But a lot of opportunities for backups today based on how everything went. But we did get a deep bomb from Brock Purdy, by far his best deep ball pass of training camp. He uncorked, right down the middle. To me, on my vantage point, I had it about 50 or so. Others called it 40 plus. It was a deep ball down the middle. Hit Jordan Watkins in stride. Will look to be on a post pattern. He beat Darrell Luter Jr. and in stride caught it, walked in for a touchdown. So great throw, great catch, and good score. While we're talking about Darrell Luter hasn't really been a big presence at 49ers training camp through 6 days. However, he did make a couple plays today. I had him logged with a PBU. Hey, what's up, man? And I had him with another tackle as well. On that tackle, Fred Warner was notably pleased by it and hyped with Luter's performance. So, you get some, and sometimes you get got at the same time. But, it's been a quiet camp for Luter. But obviously a lot of people are going to point to him getting beat on that deep bomb by Jordan Watkins. It was also the best play, I think, of Jordan Watkins all of training camp. I guess while we're on Purdy, I would say it definitely wasn't the same spice, the same heat from Brock Purdy as we saw yesterday, where I thought yesterday was Brock Purdy's best training camp practice. Today he had a not so great interception. He was rolling to the left, didn't really see anyone open. I had saw a guy flash late on a deep crosser running left to right. Purdy didn't see him. He tried to come back and force it inside, and Luke Gifford picked it off. So it wasn't a pretty rep. I believe George Kittle also ran by the media, and he said, "Don't tweet about that," or something along that regard, is something that I saw. So not the best play by Brock Purdy of training camp. But he did come back, and he had 2 solid layered throws. One to DeMarcus Robinson, kind of running a corner route, about 15 yards downfield. Again, DB got air, levitated, outstretched arms, and Brock still dropped it right over him, right to DeMarcus Robinson. It was a really nice throw. And then also another one where he hit Russell Gage in the corner left end zone. I could not see if Russell Gage got his feet in bounds. It did appear that he caught it. I just couldn't see if he had actually gotten the feet down for a touchdown. But it was a ball where Brock put it in a spot where his guy could catch it, and it appeared Russell Gage had caught it. Russell Gage is really good at going up and high pointing the ball. I think that's one of his best attributes early on in 49ers training camp. I think right now Russell Gage is absolutely in the mix to make this team. I do think Equanimous St. Brown is getting more comfortable. Obviously, he was a late addition, and he has been getting more involved as well. So Equanimous got a couple plays, a couple catches today, and has kind of been stacking the last couple days or so. So he's a guy to keep an eye out on. Shifting to one-on-ones, I thought the best one-on-one session was between Colton McKivitz and Nick Bosa. Yesterday, Colton had a great rep against Nick Bosa. Really locked him up. Was pretty surprised by it. And then you had today, where you had 3 consecutive reps between Colton McKivitz and Nick Bosa. On the first rep, Nick Bosa hit Colton with a nice little swim move, and as a result, Colton went to the ground. They wanted to run it back, and on that particular sequence in the second rep, Colton got the win against Bosa, and then Bosa's like, run it again, I want to go again. And so they go a third time in a row, and then it was like a draw. Nick got a little push, but also at the same time, Colton got a little bit of an anchor and kind of maintained in between Nick and the quarterback. So I called it a draw. So, all things considered, that's pretty promising for Colton McKivitz, especially going against Nick Bosa, who's been great all training camp. Nick Bosa had more sacks today. Nick Bosa, obviously, I think is going to be back on track to what we expect from the reigning DPOY, from a few years ago. I think Nick's going to have a great season, but I also think it is promising to see that Colton McKivitz is holding up pretty well against Bosa in one-on-ones and team period as well. So, the first rep, I was like, oh no, Colton, oh no, to see him end up on the ground like he did. But he rebounded, and he got the win right after, and then they drawed to round out the reps. So not bad. All things considered. Some other notes. Hennessy got a win versus Collin. Trent beat Bosa again today. Colby struggled a little bit. Pline had a nice win versus Graham. Juice had a nice win versus Martin. Pleasance had a win versus Sam O. West continues to be pretty dominant in one-on-ones. I see a lot of stuff going around about this one particular rep where West pushed Moss back, and he did. He absolutely bull rushed him right into the quarterback. But there was another rep where Moss got the win on West. And today, actually, Moss, the undrafted free agent offensive lineman, was actually one of my biggest standouts of today. I actually wasn't anticipating that. He had a really, really good rep in team period against CJ West, where he's got CJ West in his outside shade. He's pass blocking. He's pushing CJ West out. He shoves CJ, and then he comes back and he picks up the looping Robert Beal on a stunt, and he just plants his hands in Robert Beal's chest, and Robert hits the turf right on his back. And again, you know me, I'm an offensive lineman, so I was focused on Moss. I watched his rep. I watched him shove off CJ West and then come back and pick up Beal. That's a 2-for-1 special where I come from. So I was pretty impressed by that. And then he also had 2 reps in team period where he's one-on-one with Alfred Collins, also locked up Alfred Collins. He was getting some reps with the 2s as well. So Drew Moss, I think, is a guy that you should keep your eye on. Don't let that one singular rep that he lost from 1v1 fool you. He actually had a really solid day today. And like I said, I had no intention of locking in on Drew Moss at all. It just it just happened, and he made multiple good plays today. So I was actually impressed by that. So excited to see what that looks like. Nugent got a win versus Sebastian. I have in my notes West Bullrush versus Moss. 76, the new guy, Jalen Allen. He's got some speed. Like, he's fast. That's what I got written down in my notes, fast. Doesn't look like a guy who's going to be super stout in the run game, but he has some speed. So that is a pretty interesting one. I think a guy who continues to show out is Bryce Huff. I don't think we're talking enough about Bryce Huff. I don't think we're talking enough about Sam Okiwanu. I just don't think we're doing enough of that. Those guys are going to be contributors this year. Those guys have the potential to put up some sack numbers. I think Bryce Huff is, again, just not being talked about enough. His inside spin move is so unbelievably nasty. His ability to threaten outside speed and then just hit this counter inside spin, they can't stop him. I would have had him for, I think, one for sure sack, another potential sack, another one where him and Bosa were around the quarterback. I think Huff's going to be a solid addition to this defense. And, Sam O, I don't think had as good of a day as he has had, but still, I think Sam O is also going to be a guy to keep an eye on as well. Let me see, going through my notes here. Oh, we have a kicker competition. From what I saw, both kickers, Joseph and Moody, made all their kicks today, so both were perfect 4 from 4, and they looked pretty solid. So no craziness going on with the kicking competition today. Trey Brown had a PBU versus Robinson, and then we ended practice with an interception from Mac Jones on Avery, which looked like it could have gone for a pick 6. Mason Pline had a contested catch. Also to note, Mac Jones likes to target Braden Willis quite a bit, at least today. In the last couple days, I've noticed it. So Braden Willis, Mac Jones developing a connection, and we'll see how that continues to play out. But like I said, today, much lighter day than yesterday. Still some good work, a lot of work for the backups. Definitely not as hot of a day for Brock Purdy, but also not I don't want to call it a terrible day. I just call it, it was an average day. But again, the one outlier was the really nice deep ball pass to Watkins. But overall, solid practice, not bad. And that's it for this block. I won't be back until next Monday, which feels like forever, but I'll be back. That's when the next open practices are, and we'll be back to talk about it all. But you guys already know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.